And welcome back to Fresh Outlook, everybody. I'm TWB. Well, President Obama has been reelected for another 4 years in the White House, and just moments ago it was announced that he has officially taken Florida. But there's still some resounding sort of frustration in Florida in terms of how the voting went down. Take a look.
Absentee voters in Florida's Miami-Dade County almost missed out on casting their ballot. Their election office closed its doors as it struggled to cope with the number of people who turned up.
I've been waiting here since 12:30 to pick up an absentee ballot, and now they're telling us we got to go home. That's just ridiculous.
This is not Cuba. This is not China. We cannot allow this to happen.
Who was on the other end of that phone call? Ouch! Right. So as we just said, I said a moment ago, I just got the CNN alert. It's been official. I mean, how many days did it take for them to get Florida in the
many
book?
days.
I mean, how does this happen, especially after the
Kathleen
2008
Harris.
debacle?
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, okay, that's another story.
You
But
would
I mean,
think
seriously,
that since Kathleen Harris, we would have made some serious
we've had
reforms
so
in the process.
many years to sort of realize our mistakes with the whole Bush-Gore debacle and make sure we don't come close to something like that ever happening again. Yet Florida is still always
But let's
it's like
understand
hard to put into words.
understand what happened in Florida.
Yeah, let us
Governor
help us
Scott
understand.
trimmed the days for early voting from 14 to 10. He removed one of the souls to Sundays, which is these Sundays where you get a lot of see these polling districts are in the more densely populated, more Democratic, more people of color areas of Florida, and so the early voting periods are really very, very important, and in fact vital to serving those communities in terms of them being able to vote in a timely manner. When you cut those by a third to almost 40%.
Why did he do that again?
You tell me why he did
Someone
it.
tell me why he did that.
intentional to quash the Democratic vote.
Of course it's intentional.
It is
and here's the thing,
intentional.
even if it's not
It always seems intentional.
Do you think it's not intentional?
I don't know. I suspect it
Even if
is.
it's not intentional, look at the result of it. The result of it is that people who would vote Democratic are waiting in line for hours, are getting turned back. I mean, I don't care what his intent is. The result of it is still is what it is.
If it smells like a rat, if it looks like a rat,
I'm
it is.
still trying to get over the fact that Gore lost.
I mean, but it puts,
imagine how
it
life
makes
would have been
that,
different.
and listen, it makes
didn't
that
lose.
election that much more insidious to me.
Well,
right?
and
It makes it
furthermore,
that
to
much
add
more
insult to
crazy.
injury, the mayor of Miami-Dade also cut back the hours and decided to shut down the polls at a particular location for 4 hours and eventually reopened it so that people were literally standing in line and chanting and doing all of those things. But you know,
Who does that?
Right. I mean, on a day when it was supposed to be open anyway, on the one of the
Unbelievable.
10 days that was left on one of those Sundays, I think that this whole voter disenfranchisement issue is going to need a specific kind of governmental inquiry.
Right. What is the solution here? I mean, what's going to happen in 4 years? Are we going to be having the same conversation in 4 years? I think we are. That's how little faith I have in amending this.
Francesca's right. We need some kind of federal intervention here to investigate these things. We need to understand that if someone has to wait 6, 7, 8 hours to vote and miss work and all that, that's essentially a poll tax. And we, as a country, we're against those things. We have to operate based upon one simple premise. We live in a democracy, and it's a modern democracy. And in this democracy, we want more participation.
So what did you think of
not
this?
less.
I believe it was Florida. Was it a 12-page ballot that was contributing to the wait online? I mean, obviously you're dealing with older folks who have eye issues. 12 pages for anyone will take a long time to decipher, but especially the elderly. What's the solution
More
there?
polling places, and you have to increase, not reduce, early voting.
Would you run for office already?
Well, I think
Listen to this guy.
anybody can say, anybody can say, and I know that this is probably part of their reasoning was, financially it will cost us less from the state budget if we cut down the number of days. But if you're going to then increase the number or the expenditure of money trying to make up for this and, whatever afterwards, then it doesn't really serve the purpose if that was part of the argument going into it. I also think when you look at places like New Jersey where they were able to do online voting after Sandy and they were able to change things around and allow you to go to different polling places that weren't in your district and
any densely populated state.
Right. I mean, they made adjustments mid-course when this thing happened so that you could still go and vote in New York if you were displaced by Hurricane Sandy. Even if it wasn't in your district, you couldn't end up voting for your, uber local.
Guys,
Why can't
you're
we just
both
do it?
right,
Why can't we do it
but
American
on
Idol
conservative
this?
programs similar to this, they're having the same discussion about the Democrats who are actually getting dead people to register to vote in Chicago and so forth.
We waste our time with this.
I'm just once again, I'm just the messenger. These are discussions that go on both sides.
Let me ask you this: why can't we vote by phone? I know this is going to sound a little cliche, and I'm not making it about American Idol. I mean, why can't we be able to vote via phone, via our Social Security number, or some sort of system in the advanced technology we have today?
Too easy to hack.
We're terrified of
Is that
fraud.
I think that the real issue is there could be be. I mean, the CIA has admitted. We'll get to more about the CIA.
Oh, it's CIA.
But I mean,
Word
you
of
know,
the day.
the United States intelligence community has admitted that we're very vulnerable to cyber attacks by foreign nations, to terrorist attacks by foreign nations.
So I guess we wait online for 12 hours. And
well,
but no, there's middle ground and more polling places and increase early voting.
Is that what you think we should do, WJ? Is that the solution?
No, I agree. Sure, those are definitely some solutions that need to be tried out and
we can do it, and we can do that by the next election.
Look, we're a democracy. It's a people business. It's a
Yes.
messy business.
It is.
It's a
It
work in
is.
progress.
By the way, what do we think about Obama's acceptance speech and Romney's sort of?
Romney did a great job. He was a total class act. I loved it. It was short and sweet. I mean,
You're laughing.
No, no,
And
no.
it was totally impromptu as well.
No, what I
What I
mean
mean
is
right off the top of his head.
exactly.
Right.
He didn't prepare a concession speech. He went in there with confidence, thinking that he was going to win the presidential election and make it to the White House. He had everything mapped out, as we saw, with other memos going forward for the next day.
He had his website ready to go. Right.
Exactly.
See that it got leaked.
So the thing is that I think that he was very gracious. He included prayer, which is part of his own core belief as a human being. I think that it is a way to extend a hand to the other side in terms of potentially bringing people together, moving forward, and I think that he did a great job. By the time President Obama finally spoke, because Romney had delayed his speaking, I think everybody was so exhausted. Although I was happy to hear whatever Obama had to say, I was less impressed with it in some respects.
I have to say, he seemed a little rejuvenated. I don't know, he was a little
seemed
more forceful
rejuvenated,
than
and I
ever.
can tell you that Obama supporters loved that speech, but the speech to me that's the most powerful speech of this entire campaign is the one that President Obama gave to his supporters. That was it was released yesterday, went viral. Yeah, the one where he got really emotional because he talked about his own humble beginnings and his faith and his sense of the future as he sees it in the people that have been working on his campaign. I thought that was really, really
It's his
powerful.
humility and his sincerity, which is actually the beginning point for that rapprochement that must take place.
I have to ask you this, though. You know, we say, look what he inherited from Bush. It's, you know, facing the worst situation since the Great Depression. You're looking at this campaign, and I'm thinking, why would anyone want this job? Why would anyone want to be the guy to say you did it or you didn't do it?
Right,
I mean,
but why does anyone elect to, you know, be a volunteer? Why does anybody elect to, you know, be on the ground level?
Can make it better.
You think you can make it better. It's that true basic sense. And then sometimes you get too involved in the system and people,
the problems
you know,
we're facing, though,
end up getting a little bit,
it's going to take 20
corrupt,
years.
but-
Obama needs to be in office for 20 years to fix our deficit and all that stuff.
Spoken like a true Democrat.
True what? What am I? All right, we got to go to break. When we come back, even with a resounding victory, many Americans are completely disappointed with Obama's first term and expect a lot more out of his second. So as we forge ahead 4 more years, what exactly are we faced with? Fiscal cliff, anyone? We'll be right back. You're watching Fresh Outlook.